They don't like to be apart, right? There is this feeling of like, oh my gosh, I'm alone now. I don't want this, right? And I think that we all have that to a degree. If you were to build out the contrast here, before this sort of breakdown, who did you think you were? And then who did you discover, or are you discovering that you really are?
Yeah. Well, I realized as I went through this process that this whole concept of Dr. Nima, this guy who can fix your headaches and neck pain and back pain, and then this amazing guide who can really help you find and rewire the source of your problem. I would go on dates. When you go on dates, when I was single, most people are dealing, they're getting back in the game from being in pain, from grief, from a breakdown, right? And so on that date, I could zero in on their problem and help them rewire it, and just tears coming out, and then have them fall in love with me, forgotten, being irrelevant. And if I could, I found a way to make myself incredibly useful to people, to the world, and all to protect myself from the paralyzing fear of that insecure little boy who felt abandoned, not just at birth, but then several times through his life where his brother was chosen over him. Talking about myself, right? When we left I was born in Iran, and when we came to Canada at the age of 4, my parents were kind of trying to explore immigrating to Canada. So my mom came to Canada to explore where we can immigrate to, and she could only bring one twin, so she brought him because he was more of the problem child. So at the age of 2, for 3 months, imagine your boys at the age of 2 being separated from each other and their mother for 3 months. And so that abandonment wound, that alarm in my system was this paralyzing fear of abandonment, which then governed how I operated in the world, how I chose partners. And so it was and I didn't know it. All I knew was the way it showed up is I had an incredible amount of anxiety, and I was constantly performing, and I was constantly trying to make myself useful, or basically define my sense of worth based on my numbers. And so this whole breakdown had me look at all of that and go, holy cow, I've been performing so much all my life that I don't even know who the heck I am. And so the journey of integrating that and healing that and discovering who I was outside of the performance was the path. And that's the path of individual, which is what Carl Jung calls individuation. So that's the path.
What did specifically that look like for you?
It looked like paying attention to what activated me. Because if I'm in a conversation with you, or the patterns of that show up in my relationships of when I would be criticized, when someone would have some sort of a criticism towards me, and that sensation, that feeling in my body that would get activated. And it was really about exploring what's happening inside of me when these triggers are coming up, and understanding, kind of like a pathway to breaking down, like what's happening in me when I'm getting triggered. What part of me am I protecting? And so really looking and seeing that part of me that I'm protecting with my anger, or with defensiveness, or with performing, is this little boy who felt unlovable. And so it really is about integrating, going back, feeling the sensations in the body, expanding my capacity to be with those really vulnerable parts of me, instead of trying to get rid of them, or try to sedate them or numb them with substances or pornography or women or validation, and really being able to sit with them and build capacity for those shadows that I've been trying to perform my way out of.
You say we cannot think our way out of trauma. So what does the body already know that the mind keeps sort of overriding?
Well, the body already knows there's a vulnerability that we experience with that trauma, and trauma isn't necessarily what happened to you. So when my mom left, nothing happened to me. I wasn't abused. It's what's happening. Trauma is what's happening inside of you in the absence of an empathetic witness. So if I'm having all of this charge, this life force energy coming up, which is what happens when we're terrified, really scary things happen, we then separate from ourselves. We go outside of ourselves looking for validation and approval. So for example, if you hit your boys and you start hitting them because they, did something wrong or they neglected to do something, in that moment, they don't think, you know what, Dad must be having a really rough day. This has got nothing to do with me. They don't think that. What happens is they don't stop loving Dad. They stop loving themselves. They think, I must be the problem. We have an egocentric view of things as children. So in order to kind of make sense of our world, we make meaning out of these big charged events. And that meaning is always, I'm not enough. It's a self-abandoning meaning. So trauma causes us to separate from ourselves, and we fragment and we create characters that say, oh my gosh, never again do I want to be that, like let's say mom leaves and all of a sudden this abandonment wound shadow comes up and I go, never again do I want to feel that. So I exile that part of me and I tell him, let's try to create this character of Dr. Nima so that I never feel that. And then what ends up happening is I start to put on a mask. I put on this character to try to protect myself from this part of me. But the problem is that part of me doesn't go away. So it unconsciously drives the bus. It unconsciously, helps me select my partners, or part of an anxious attachment where I'm constantly trying to, hey, get connection,